Good afternoon from Kleinshire. We're hard at work in here. Take a look at what we're up to this afternoon. Late November here in Wisconsin is gun deer hunting, and we are in the garage. We have 2 bucks that were shot. We have one from an uncle of the boys, and the other, Clement.
What?
Who shot the other deer?
I did.
That's right. So we are cutting up the uncle's buck right now. All he wants is one of the tenderloins and one of the back straps or main loins. And the rest of it we're breaking down. And we have a big pot right here. That meat will all be cubed and pressure canned. And we're going to really concentrate on that since we have beef coming as well. The boys are boning out the back femurs, I guess you could say right now, the hind end. We have some nice big pieces here from the hind end. We will make some steaks and some roasts out of those. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the 2 back straps. These need to be cleaned up and cut up. We have a nice big neck on this one. That will be boned around and rolled up, and we will have a nice boneless neck roast as well. It's a lot of work. It's a full day. We'll take a break, I think, in a while. We have a relative's house, a party to go to, and then we'll be back at it, tomorrow, Sunday. We'll get it done. Watch out, I'll poke you. Alright, Clement, help me spread the legs here. Get this stuck through right here. Right through the hole. There we go. This side too. There we go. Now we need to lift. You ready? Get it up there. We're going to hang it from that one. Alright, so you're going to have to give him a little push on the butt. Get underneath. You're going to give him a push on the butt. It's part way. Go on the other side there. You can help me lower him somehow. Don't get hit by his antlers. Be careful. When he comes down, he's going to come down. Oh, yeah, there we go. Well, I don't want to drop him too fast.
You're safer than you were when you were learning with me.
There. Got it. What makes your arm ache?
Side. Just got the skin left. How am I supposed to get it off the edge?
Well, you could switch to a knife. So how is it that an 11-year-old came to shoot a deer when his dad didn't even get one? Is that allowed?
Because I like the uncle who's very lucky.
The uncle who's very lucky. And what was he doing when you shot this deer? He was gutting a deer. And Uncle Joe heard a pop. And what was that?
I don't know.
You don't know what the pop was?
Nope.
You weren't involved at all?
Nope.
No? The pop was your gunshot, Clement.
It wasn't a pop.
It wasn't a pop. What was it? A bang. Now, why was it a bang? What kind of gun did you use?
270 Winchester. Well, not what, but he shot a 270 Winchester.
Okay, so 270. Yeah, pretty powerful gun. Pretty powerful gun.
Actually, it's not that powerful.
Does it have a recoil? So, How far was your shot from?
75 yards.
75 yards. What did you aim for?
The vitals.
Uh-huh. How'd that go for you?
A foot off.
A foot off. Where'd this deer get shot?
Back of the neck.
Dropped right away? One shot?
Not right away.
Oh yeah, did it go flying away? Did you have to search for it?
No.
No? It didn't go very far because
Just
its neck
stood
was
up there.
broken. Were you excited?
Yes.
Do you think you were nervous? Is that why you didn't get the vitals?
No.
You weren't
I was
nervous?
Standing up.
Oh, you were standing up. And why is that hard?
Because it's harder to shoot when you're standing up.
Uh-huh. Why is that?
Because you aren't as steady.
Okay. It's a pretty good shot for an 11-year-old. You know, as you watch us scun this deer, let me just say that I know there are a lot of hunting and skinning videos on the internet, and mine probably looks unprofessional because, to be perfectly honest, I didn't grow up doing this. The boys are, you know, he's 11 and he did hunter's safety, his brother did, but I admit I did hunter's safety with them, so now I'm hunting legally, which is good. The long and the short of it, though, is what you see here is pretty much self-taught. I've had the benefit of Rosemary's dad and assisting him on a few, but I'm just doing my best to make this happen. Turn it this way a little bit. Shortchange yourselves, the neck roast is good. A little thicker than the legs. There.
That's a nice size.
Meat saw. All right, Clement. Hold up your deer so people can see it.
Look at that.
Come down.
Can I have you with all the first?
That's okay. Look at that. You smile. 8-pointer. Clement the Deerslayer.
Yeah, this is good. Like a good.
Yeah, those are good. Those are dog sized.
They're not all the bones are on top.
One. There we go. There's Clement's deer. The boys are all off doing chores because we're headed to their cousins for a little get-together, and my job just is to wrap this up and leave things in a state where they're going to be fine until we break this down either tomorrow or later tonight. It's a beautiful deer, a mid-sized buck here. I think it was 122 pounds field dressed when we brought it in and had it weighed. Since it was Clement's deer, we did have it weighed for the big buck contest, even though he's not going to win. A lot of meat on there. Like I said, I'm definitely not an expert, so feel free to make comments if you see my practices and think, oh my gosh, he's ruining the deer. You can see plenty of cuts to the meat. A lot of it's going to be boned out there anyway. Doesn't really matter to me. Welcome to day 2 of deer processing on Clydeshire. We went to our party, we had a good time. The deer is still here waiting for us, so it's time to start taking it apart. All right, Clement,
What?
come hold right here so it doesn't move. We're going to start by taking off the front legs, which actually come really easily because they're not attached by much. Watch your fingers. And there we go.
I'll touch it first.
All right, there are 2 of them. Well, there are lots of different things that you can do with the front legs, but all we're doing today is deboning this part to add to our deer meat that we are going to pressure can. So really easy. It's just a matter of getting the meat off the bones and chunking it up into pieces that fit well in quart jars. So while the boys are working on deboning, I'm still working on their Uncle Joe's deer, and I am cutting from the hind legs some roasts. This, I think, is called a sirloin tip roast. Unless I have it confused with the round roast, it is rounder. This roast, which I've cut from the other side of the femur, I'm calling the round roast. Well, maybe it's a sirloin tip roast. I honestly don't know. But they're very nice looking roasts. Also from that end, the bigger end of the femur, I'm able to cut leg steaks. So I've done one side and I'm working on the other too. So I'm trying to get as much of the bloodshot meat off as I can. So obviously a little trauma involved here, and that's important to remove. Try to clean this up, make it look nice. And none of this gets wasted, of course, because all these scraps go to the dogs. I don't think these just get thrown in the landfill or anything. Nothing gets wasted. Also, if you look on this end, you have fat in this layer, I think it's called silver skin. And when people talk about the taste of venison and not liking it, a lot of that is this tallow and this layer, which is really chewy. If you can get a bunch of that off, and if you cook it right, venison is actually really good. So I'm working to get that off as well. I'm going to start breaking this down. I'm looking for the natural creases, and I'm trying to follow those. See, it just kind of comes apart. Break it down into its constituent parts. Well, look at that. Get this piece here. This is where I'm going to take that roast from. And you see there's one more split here. Some fat. See if I can get some of that off. Bloodshot fat. Clean these up a little better once I've got them into the pieces that I want too. Is it natural crease? There we go. Look at that. Coming apart very nicely. So this is a nice roast. Just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Well, look at that. Beautiful roast there. All set for the crock pot. Now these other pieces of meat are very tender and really good. So although I'll take the scraps and we'll put them in with our pressure can meat, I'm also just going to freeze parts of this as, chopped venison, which is really great in a stir fry. Got to defrost it, of course, unlike the pressure can stuff, but it's more chunks, which is really nice when you want to cook something in the fry pan and put some meat in it. I'm also going to get some leg steaks off of this. So what I'm looking for here is maybe a couple steaks, a whole lot less than the other side. but I might be able to get a couple steaks out of this. One more, maybe little one. Pretty small steak there. These will be tasty. One of my favorite roasts is the neck roast, deboned and rolled up. So the trick with the neck roast is very delicately you have to go all the way around. Obviously there's an esophagus to remove, some big veins. But the main thing is going around and getting as much meat as you can off of those vertebrae.
That's a vein.
What's that? No, you can see the esophagus though. Look at this.
That's huge.
Isn't that amazing? I'll be taking it out. Cut right down to the vertebrae of the neck. Takes a while. Jars down there?
I don't think there are any wide enough. Oh, we have jars up here that are wide enough, I think, and the stuff that we got on again. So this is really the last big piece right here. I'll give you the big piece. Still need to cut off.
Well, there we go. Maybe we can bone. Can you bone this out a little bit? So
that's gonna be easy right there.
here's the neck roast, still in need of being cleaned up, but that is a big piece of meat there.
Yeah,
We'll roll it up like this and freeze it. Tastes really good.
Okay.
Well, the boys have finished cutting up the front end, which means it's time to turn our attention to this deer again. And there are a few things that we need to take off next. The one is called the tenderloin. And wow, this looks really bloodshot, unfortunately. We'll see what's in here. This is interior meat.
Oh yeah, it was very bloodshot.
Wow. So I'm not sure what sort of hemorrhage occurred in there. But interior meat, because it doesn't get much muscle action, is tender. And that's why this is called a tenderloin. And ordinarily it doesn't look as bloody as that, but I'm going to take it out. Kind of just slides out once you get it started. Hold that, dear. There we go. There's a tenderloin. Pretty bloody looking. I'll take that back to the table. We'll trim it up. So the tenderloins are out, little bloodshed. We'll see what we can do to clean them up. The next thing here, up here, is called the loin, the back loin, sometimes the back strap. And it is also a very tender piece of meat. It doesn't get as, well, it gets more exercise obviously than the tenderloin, which is interior. But it is one of the tenderest parts and definitely something that we want to separate off. We like making chops out of it. I'm just trying to get it started here. I'm just going to go along the spine a little bit. Once I've got started, I'll switch to my other knife. All the way along there. Sort of scrape along the spine to get it started. Followed the spine and I'm now going down the ribs. probably sufficient. And there's a back strap, one of two. The next thing we need to do is remove the neck, just like that neck of Uncle Joe's deer. So we like the neck, we want to make sure we get as much of it as we can. You always cut through the meat with a knife, not the saw. Here, I don't want to cut you, just hold on.
Seems very small.
Can you get me, Cletus, the meat saw? Thank
Heavy.
you.
I'll hold the mustard.
So, you're going to hold the neck. No, you don't want it falling, okay? I'm not all that hair. And I don't want to get you in the face, so you have to keep your Oh, awkward. Ready?
Yep.
There it is. Go take that to the table. Getting closer. You know, when we process a hog, or when we try processing our first beef steer, it's coming up within weeks actually. We split them down the middle of the spine. Well, you don't do that for a deer, or at least we don't. What we're going to do is cut through the ribs. Where's that meat saw, Cletus? We're going to cut through the ribs. And you can do different things. My brother, who's an avid hunter, makes some really good deer ribs in the pressure cooker. Actually, hold on, I need to cut a little bit more. The pressure cooker can do amazing things for tougher pieces of meat. But we're not that adventurous today. Sometimes, just not today. So these ribs will simply be boned out. And I think my best angle is going to be right here. You got it?
Can't really hold on.
Well,
You don't need to hold on quite.
oh, watch out. I almost got you in the face. I think I've got it for now. It's just when this gets farther down, please, hold on to it because it's falling on the ground. Let's get this other rib off. You're going to come get this one too, Cletus, right? Take. Ooh, these are sharp, aren't they? There. Table.
Got it.
Some of my blood in there. I'm gonna have to get that washed out. All right, though. First, let's cut this.
Okay.
Ready? There. To the table for boning.
Three things to do.
Not too much deer left up there. Look at that. To show you cleanup of the tenderloins and loin chops before I shut off the video and let us get back to work. Just so you see different cuts getting cut up as best we do it here in our haphazard way. So here we have those bloody tenderloins, and you can feel the bloodshot on them, and we're going to lose some, but I really want to make these nice if I can. Clement said since it's his deer, he wants to eat the tenderloins, so I want it to be a good experience. So try to get a bunch of this bloodshot stuff off.
So much bloodshot in his deer.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some internal bleeding. It's interesting because, of course, as he described it earlier in the video, Clement actually broke the neck and died very quickly. But, you know, maybe my theory would be there's the interior hemorrhaging without a wound in the body left a lot of the blood in the deer. And maybe that's a reason why you want a body shot at the vitals. You know, there's a little bleed out through the bullet hole. His uncle's deer was certainly a lot cleaner than this.
A lot cleaner.
Doesn't look too bad. There's a tenderloin. And I have these pieces, which I took off the flank. And I would assume that I can, from these, cut what are called flank steaks. Just try to clean this up a little bit.
That part's kind of a bloodshot. Isn't this too much bloodshot right here?
Yeah, that's too much bloodshot. Dogs can have that.
Quite a bit of bloodshot.
Someone who knows what they're talking about, correct me, but is that a little piece, at least a little piece of the flank steak? I think it should be really good. Well, there's one more thing that I wanted to show, and that's what we do with this loin or this back strap, how we clean it up. You see there's some separation here, so obviously I took more off than just the loin. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel that off, and I'm getting some of the silver skin too, you can see.
I'll cut them into chunks.
Not enough.
So
I'm going to have to work to get some of this off. All these things are a process. They take time. You have to be patient. Get a good angle here. Well, this is pretty good. Not perfect. Didn't get it all off, but enough. And now what I do is I make these steaks or these chops. I'll take a little bit off the end. Get that nice little steaky structure, and maybe half an inch or so thick. And they just look like this. They're really nice, fried with mushrooms. And on a bigger deer like this, you certainly get plenty of them. We've been hard at work out in the garage. I think Rosemary's been hard at work in here. What do you have for us tonight?
So we have roasted in the oven butternut squash, potatoes, and Brussels with some lemon juice, a little vinaigrette, and salt and cracked pepper. And then we have venison from the deer that the boys just harvested. And it's got mushrooms from the woods, our own onions, our own sweet peppers, our own garlic, and some Worcestershire sauce and salt and pepper.
Nice.
Tasty.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a tenderloin in there for Clement and one honored guest. Cletus gets it? Okay. Oh, is that what it is? All right. There's a flank steak, which I'm going to try one of those flank steaks.
He's not gonna be here until for
some of that cubed meat for the littler boys, and a couple loin chops as well, or loin steaks. So I think we're hungry, right? Are you guys ready to eat? All right, wave goodbye. Subscribe, follow along. We're having fun here on the farm.